Yes, no, maybe so? Okay. Well, people online, can you hear me? People in person, I know you can hear me. Anas, you have to drink in the hallway. Go to the hallway and drink it, okay, Anas? Where the shoes are. Okay, so I'm assuming the people online. Khadija and Hamna, can you guys sit in the hallway and drink it, okay? Oh, here, come over here, I'll open it, but drink in the hallway, okay?
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Who put the bear over there?
I did.
Why?
Go in the hallway now. Go in the hallway. No, not over here. Go open the hallway. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala amma ba'd. I'm going to apologize first for the way I'm sitting, guys. I know it's a bit disrespectful to point my foot towards you. I hurt my knee in jiu-jitsu on Wednesday. I think I did some ligament damage. And so if you notice, one, I've been coming to the masjid very little. When I am coming, I'm like sitting like this the whole time. That's why I don't want to come. It's not a good excuse. So I apologize. So please forgive me for the lack of etiquette. Number two, I'm hoping that this is going to continue throughout the summer and then moving on thereafter. We're not, only during Ramadan, I wanted a shorter session for the hour, but normally we're going to go 12 o'clock in person. We're going to play games. We did football and basketball today. I'm going to try to bring the frisbee for ultimate frisbee, which is a lot of fun. And if you don't know how to play a game, if like I don't know how to play basketball, I don't know how to play football, you'll learn. That's how we learn in madrasa, that's how we learn in most places. You just start playing till you figure it out. And if you have questions, just ask any of us. We won't make fun of you. Well, I'll make fun of you, but aside from that, I'm joking. We won't make fun of you. It's all good. Okay, Bismillah. So we left off with Malcom a couple weeks back, before your break. There we go. That's too far. Okay. We left off with Malcom a couple weeks back, and one of the things that we spoke about was what happened with him and Laura. Now we take this next step, and we're going to get into these 2 or 3 chapters that are called, where is it? We have hustler, we have trapped, we have caught, then we're not going to get to Satan. Hustler, trapped, and caught. Obviously, first of all, the word hustler is not the most endearing of terms, but what does this refer to? This refers to Malcolm's life as a hustler. Straight up as a hustler, he goes into a community, and remember, he came in as the quote-unquote hick, okay, as he describes himself, and as the one who was a farm boy out of place, raggedy old like overalls that he was wearing at times, and then he had like a suit pant that was like halfway up his knee, or up his calf, and now he's turned the opposite. He's dressed nicely, he speaks nicely, people like him, people gravitate towards him, and he's gained a name and reputation in the street. And that reputation almost gets him killed a couple times. So we're going to talk about his street life a little, and talk a little bit about what he did on the street. Let's begin. So the first thing with Malcom is that when he was on the street, obviously he didn't engage in things that were that wonderful. He was heavily into drugs. He wasn't as much of a womanizer as people claim that he was. There's no evidence of that. He was always armed, always had a gun on him, always strapped, sometimes multiple times. And he needed to be, because of the fact that the life that he lived, he could always accidentally cross someone. He gambled quite a bit. Sometimes he may have cheated in the process. He gained a lot of money. And so one of the things that happened with Malcom is that he knows a guy named West Indian Archie. West Indian Archie is one of the big dogs on the street. He has various establishments, a lot of underground money laundering, gambling, etc. And Malcom knows there's some people he just can't cross. There's some people that he just can't cross. That if he crosses them, then he's going to get in a lot of trouble. That's his street environment. What's the social environment right now? The war. The war is going on, and as a result, this is the end of World War II. They're trying to get everyone possible into the military, and African Americans, black males, are ripe for the choosing for them because they feel they can put them on the line, and it doesn't matter if they die or not. This is not me speaking. This is America at that time speaking. So Malcom had been trying to avoid the draft. Do you guys know what the draft is? So the draft is basically when you receive contact from the government saying that you might be put into the army. And when they draft you, there's a few things that have to take place. Number one, They have to be able to determine, are you physically, mentally, psychologically, in terms of health, are you sound to go serve the country? Because if you're not, they have to reject you. That's number one. Number two, are you a threat to yourself or anyone around you? Because if you have someone who's mentally imbalanced, they have access to a lot of ammunition, and they can take out a whole group of people on the opposite side, but even on the same side. And so now Malcolm, he came in, and he said the line moved. I want to go to the story first. The line moved along. Pretty soon, stripped to my shorts, I was making my eager to join comments in the medical examination rooms, and everybody in the white coat saw that I had a 4F in his eyes. 4F, so some people would come in, and they would want to just get excused. They would try to make up some, like the former president. Why didn't he serve in the army? Who remembers? What did he claim that he had? The last president, what did he claim that he had? Bone spurs. You guys know what bone spur is? A bone spur is actually quite painful. If you have like the bone begins to have like this jagged piece that sticks out, and it can be very, very painful. So he claimed bone spurs that which wasn't true. So he gets out of serving his country. There's a big knock against him. Like, you're talking about defending the military and the army, etc., and being on their side, and you yourself didn't serve. Anyway, Malcolm comes in. He says the receptionist. So first of all, he comes in. He's like, I came in dressed like an actor. Wild zoot suit, yellow knob toe shoes, frizzled up my hair into a reddish bush of conch. I went in skipping and tipping, and then I tattered my greetings at the desk. Crazy-o, daddy-o, get me moving. I can't wait to get in that brown. He's just talking. He gets in. Now they're examining him. He says the receptionist was a Negro nurse, a black nurse. I remember she was in her early 20s, not too bad to look at. She was one of those Negro firsts. He talks about firsts. So he says, Negroes know what I'm talking about. Back then, so Negro is not a polite term to say. I'm just reading from the text. And the other term, N-I-G-G-E-R, I'm just not going to say that term. African American was more appropriate to say when I was younger. Now it's just black. Okay? Yes, I know what's up. Look in the hallway, you'll see it there, okay? If not, just keep it with you, and I'll just put it by your shoes, and when we leave, I'll throw it out, okay? So he said, back then the white man during the war was so pressed for personnel that he began letting some Negroes put down their buckets and mops and dust rags and use a pencil or sit at some desk or hold some 25-cent title. You couldn't read the Negro press for the big pictures of smug black first. What's a first? Like these people, the first one in the family to make it. Like they're no longer working as like a servant, like servant class. They sort of moved up. They really have no rank and position, but they just needed the manpower. So these were the quote-unquote first. Somebody was inside the psychiatrist. I didn't even have to put on any act for this black girl. She was already sick of me. When finally a buzz came, what's up? Then put it by your shoes, okay? Thank you. When finally a buzz came at her desk, she didn't send me. She went in. I knew what she was doing. She was going to make clear in advance what she thought of me. This is still one of the black man's troubles today. So many of those so-called upper-class Negroes are so busy trying to impress on the white man that they are different from those others, and that they can't see that they're only helping the white man to keep his low opinion of all Negroes. That's the first point I want to make. This happens all the time. Anyone know what TSA is? What's TSA? Yeah, airport security, right? You get airport security. Anyone ever travel flying before? You ever have to go through airport security? Who's the worst person to deal with? Who's the worst person from security that you, like if you had to typify them? Which one? Exactly. Okay, that's your opinion. I'm just trying to get your opinions. Yes. Anyone else?
Baba, is that your grade?
That's fine. Yes.
Why?
Because I'm thirsty.
I know, but
Can you go wash your hands in your mouth? It stinks. Okay, thanks. For me, the worst people that I see are two types, and I'm trying not to be racist. Desis, Indo-Pak, and Muslims. Now you might be thinking, why them? So I feel like the Desis and Indo-Paks that are there, not all, a group that I happen to interact with. They want to show themselves like, oh, I'm not like that guy. Who's that guy? Me? The guy with the cap and the beard, the backward guy from overseas. Although I'm born and raised over here. They want to show like, oh, I'm just like you guys. I'm not like him. I'm not like the backward Molvi type. I'm straight up modern. And they end up, those individuals, they check me more, they frisk me more, etc. It's just weird. It's weird how sometimes Muslims throw everyone else under the bus to make sure that they look better in everyone else's eyes. And this is a colonialist tactic. Throughout European history, the colonizers, they have always recognized that to be the enemy of the indigenous people is not going to work. You need to turn them against themselves. Anyone ever read, not Heart of Darkness, what's it called? Chinua Achebe? Things Fall Apart? I don't know if in high school you guys studied that or not. Anyway, so even within slavery within West Africa, they would do this. They would have the African princes themselves go and do what? Get the slaves together for the white man to pick up. Because then the white man, though he's an enemy, is not as big of an enemy. And they turn one against the other. India, Pakistan, same thing. If you look at the split, India, Pakistan is one land. Bangladesh, it's all one land. This was a European plan to bring that split. Look at the Hijaz, UAE, and Yemen. This is one land. And you begin to put these Western demarcations to split, oh, you're different than these individuals. Because this idea of divide and conquer. That's what was instilled within many of the African Americans, the blacks within America at this time. So what did she do? She went in first. He was called, but before she sent him in, she went to tell the doctor, the white doctor, oh, this is what I think of this guy. He's like this. Already putting him down, setting the stage for Malcolm to be, put in a bad situation. And Malcolm, the line he says here is an amazing line. I want all of us to remember this. Negroes are so busy, and replace Negroes with Muslims if you want, are so busy trying to impress on the white man that they are different from others, different from those others. That they can't see that they're only helping the white man to keep his low opinion of all Negroes. In this case, they say Muslims. We do it all the time. We do it all the time. And then with her prestige in the clear, because she didn't want to be like one of them, she came out and nodded me in to go. Now, he said, I must say this for that psychiatrist, he tried to be objective and professional. Meaning, he listened to Malcolm, he wrote down what he had to say, he was listening, he was hearing him out properly. When he was done with certain questions, he got to the questions, why do you want to go fight so bad? So Malcolm, this is a testimony to his street smarts. He because the doctor was sort of asking roundabout, so Malcolm was sort of dodging the question. So finally... Okay, good. Finally, when the time was right, Malcolm, he sprung up from where he was seated. He went under the doors and he's looking under the doors to make sure no one's listening or watching. Does he care? He doesn't care. He's putting on a show. Then, and he said it's funny because I looked under two doors. One was probably a closet. I didn't care. I just wanted to look crazy. Then I bent and whispered fast in his ear, Daddy-o, now you and me, we're from up north here, so don't you tell nobody. I want to get down south, organize them, N-I-G-G-E-R, I'm not going to say the word, organize them and soldiers, you dig? Steal some guns, kill us some crackers. What are crackers? White people, yeah. So basically he's like, I want to get all the black guys together, and then I want to get some guns and kill all the white people. He said, the psychiatrist's blue pencil dropped, and his professional manner fell off in all directions. He stared at me as if I were a snake hatching, fumbling for his red pencil. I knew I had him. I was going back out past Miss First when he said, that'll be all. A 4F card came to the mail. I never heard from the Army anymore, and never bothered to ask why I was rejected. Malcolm played him. And that's the person he became. He had become so jaded and so involved in the streets that he knew how to play people. And this is one clear example. And this is the chapter, Detroit Red, that leads directly into Hustler. This is how he's hustling the government. The government can't tell if he's serious or not, but they can't take their chances on him. And the government, to their credit, they kept tabs on him. The FBI had something on him. So now you enter the chapter of Hustler. This guy, he had quite an operation going on. Yes, Hamna. Yes, go ahead. You know where it is. And so what Malcolm would do, so Malcolm, first of all, he was armed. He mentions that for streetwear, I might call it, I carried a hardly noticeable little flat blue steel 25 automatic. He had different guns. Had to. He had to have guns. It was really dangerous what he did, where he lived, the jobs that he would be doing, jobs meaning not like his official work, but his behind the scenes work. He mentions once on a job with Sammy, he had a pretty close call. Someone must have seen us. We were making our getaway, running when we heard the sirens. Instantly, we slowed to walking. As a police car screeched to a stop, we stepped out into the street, meeting it, hailing it to ask for directions. They must have thought we were about to give them some information. They just cursed us and raced on. He knew how to play the system. Now, why is this important? What Malcolm would do, he, Sammy, Shorty, Sophie, and I forget the other girl's name, what they would do is that the girls would pretend that they were college students. They were young white women, pretend like they were college students. They were in Boston near Harvard Square. You know, you have some educated upper class or upper middle class living situations there. And they would come in and they would pretend, hey, we're just selling products or we're taking surveys for our college. So we want to see what you have available, like if you're interested. So they would come in with this fake survey and they would ask the question, you know, what age are you? This age. You know, and they would just take some basic information and pretend they're surveying. But actually what they were doing is they would come and they would check out the apartment or the house and they would say, oh, there's a watch over there, there's some fine china over there, there seems to be some wealth or cash over here, and they would go and deliver that to Malcolm. And they would basically come down to the home and they would say, we visited this house today, this is a promising house, and they would lay out the entire floor plan for Malcolm. And Malcolm had a sharp memory. He would look at it once and he would memorize it right away. He would know, get over here, this is where this is located, this is where this is located, this is where this is located. And they were hitting up house after house after house, not the same day, but short while after being visited by these girls. So the people who were being robbed didn't know. It wasn't like the next day, maybe a week and a half later. So they couldn't tell because people had come in and out since then. Maybe there was a salesperson at the door, these women surveying, maybe they went out to eat and the house was left unlocked. They didn't know what was going on. But so they began to target area after area after area, and they were successful. Malcolm, Shorty, Sammy, and the girls really made a killing. Really made a killing. And the FBI was getting really upset because they're trying to figure out how are all of these houses being hit and none of the law enforcement can figure out what's going on. In the meantime, Malcolm is slipping further and further and further into like this state of atheism. We're going to get into that shortly. And now people are recognizing that we can't cross Malcolm. We can't cross Malcolm. And so they recognize one, Ella even mentions that she didn't recognize how much of an atheist he'd become. He said, Ella couldn't believe how uncouth I had become. I believe that a man should do anything that he was slick enough or bad enough or bold enough to do, and that a woman was nothing but another commodity. This is how he would feel. Every word I spoke was hip or profane. I should bet that my vocabulary wasn't 200 words. Even Shorty, whose apartment now again shared, wasn't prepared for how I lived and thought. Like a predatory animal, sometimes I would catch him watching me. At first, I slept a lot, even at night. I slept mostly in the daytime during the preceding 2 years. When awake, I smoked reefers. Shortly and originally introduced me to marijuana, and my consumption of it now astounded him. I didn't want to talk much at first. When awake, I'd play records continuously, etc., etc., etc. Eventually, he got into peddling cocaine, etc., etc. Next lesson. You guys know what a gateway drug is? What's a gateway drug? Yes. Yeah, the drug that starts. How much does your first? You're buying, not you, astaghfirullah. Someone's buying drugs. How much does the first drug cost? Anyone? It's free. Why is it free? Can you sit in the back now, please? Why is it free? Okay, get customers, but it's free. So you got your thing. Look, someone's giving me a free car. I'm not going to be a customer. Let's take the car and go home. Why would they come back? It's addictive. That's the nature of drugs. Nature of drugs is free at first because it's very addictive. They want to hook you in. The moment they hook you in, they know they can charge you more. And when they charge you more, you're not going to be able to say no because your body physically needs it. Malcom did not just get on cocaine right away. He did not drink such amounts that people thought, and curse so much that people thought he was Satan. Literally the nickname he's given in prison. We'll cover that next week. For Malcom, what happens? He starts off in the most benign way, just hanging out with some guys he thought would look cool. But this is what we call a gateway drug. The gateway, shaitan's smart. Rasulullah mentioned very clearly that he does not fear for us kufr. He doesn't fear when we become non-Muslim right away. That was not what he feared for us. What did he fear for us? The biggest shirk that he feared was shirk al-khafi. That small hidden way to go away from Allah. That small hidden way to go away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a person wouldn't even notice, but would eventually ruin him. So let's just start a very, very simple example. What's your name again? Hudayfa. Okay, so there's two. Okay. Hudayfa and Zayd, stand up. Okay, turn around such that your heels are on that line right there. Your heels on the line right there. Turn around, face that way. Okay? Now, Zayd, I want you to stay straight. Hudayfa, I want you to turn ever so slightly to your right, like less than a degree to your right. But your feet have to turn too. Yeah, not even that much. Okay, both of you begin walking. Okay, stop. Look how far apart you guys are. At the initial onset, there was you guys can come back. The slightest degree shift, half a degree. What's the difference? It's not going to make a difference. But the moment shaitan gets us to shift a half degree, because look, being religious, what's that path called in Quran? Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. If a person just veers a little, shaitan doesn't mind veering a little. You guys know, I told you the story about Barsisa, right? I thought I told you guys, no. Barsisa is the man from Bani Israel. It's in Hadith. So Barsisa, he was a worshiper in the time of Bani Israel. He worshipped so much that he was the envy of the community. And what happens? One day, 3 brothers come, and they say, we're going to go on jihad. But our parents have passed away, and we have a sister. You're the most pious person in the community. Can you watch over our sister? What did Barsisa say? No way. No way. Astaghfirullah. She's single, I'm single. I'm not watching over her. Go find someone else. They left. Shaitan comes to Barsisa. Now when Shaitan visits, he doesn't come and say, look, I'm Shaitan. How are things going? I haven't seen you for a few days. No, Shaitan just whispers and makes us think we're thinking it. So Shaitan drops a line to Barsisa, basically thinking, are you okay? He did a cartwheel into the wall. And it wasn't even a good cartwheel. Hey, Anas, Khadija, Hamna, go over there. I don't want you, Anas, over there. Anas, 3, 2, 1. I have to get upset now? No, okay. Anas, no. Okay, I'm gonna have to tell Mama. Anas, I have to tell Mama? Okay, I'm gonna call her. And I'm gonna have to tell Mama. I left my phone in the car. I'm gonna tell Mama that you can't come next time. Okay, thank you. So Barsisa, Shaitan comes and says, look, you worship Allah, you have fear of Allah. If someone else watches over her, he could take advantage of her. So just watch over her. He makes himself think this. No, it's Barsisa, Shaitan's whispers. Barsisa calls her brothers back, said, look, I agree, I'll take care of them, but we have some conditions that have to be met. Number 1, she can't live with me. Number 2, I can't live with her. I'm just making them up, but this is like how the conversation is going. But now an actual condition. I will prepare food for her daily. Outside of my door, I'll keep it. She comes at this set time, she picks up the food and she goes back home and she eats. I'm not going to interact with her. They said, that's fine, no problem. And that's what they're doing. Shaitan doesn't need us to go astray right away. He's happy waiting because he just wants to win at the end of time. He doesn't care. At the end of time, as long as he wins, he's cool. So some time passes, weeks pass, and that's what's happening. After a while, Barsisa, Shaitan whispers. What does he say? He says to himself that, oh my God, I'm making her walk out in public and other men are looking at her. I should prepare the food and leave it at her doorstep and then leave. I shouldn't make her go out in public. Look at what Shaitan does. So now Barsisa prepares the food. He goes, he drops it off. He lets her know from behind the door the food's there and he goes back. And this happens for weeks, maybe even months. It happens for a period of time. Things are fine. Then Barsisa, Shaitan comes and thinks, man, how would it feel to be this alone? Your brothers leave you for jihad and no one's there to watch you, no one's there to talk to you. I'll just talk to her from one side of the door. So he brings the food, he'll slide it in, he'll from one side of the door, not looking at her or anything. How are you doing? I am well. They're like yelling across the door. A little weird, but that's what he's doing. Now some time passes. Then Barsisa comes. Then Shaitan comes to Barsisa. And Shaitan comes and says what? That this is so foolish. I can control myself. I'll just sit on one side of the room, she'll sit on the other, we'll talk. And step by step by step, they commit zina. Then she's expecting with the child. She has the child. When this happens, now Shaitan comes to Barsisa. Look, I messed up. I have to become better. The only way I'll be able to become better if there's no evidence. The brothers eventually come back. When they eventually come back, can you hear me? Okay. When the brothers eventually come back, they have to ask her, what happened to our sister? He said, oh, I used to lie. You know, I didn't. I tried, she got very sick. We couldn't save her, I'm so sorry. And she's buried over here. That's actually a fake grave. He buried her in the home with the baby. So the brothers go to the fake grave, they made dua for her, they're sad, but you know what happens, Allah's will. Hamna, Khadija, Anas, take your water bottles, go to the shoe area, put your shoes on, we're leaving in 2 minutes, okay? Drop you off at home so I can pray Dhuhr. So now, at night, the brothers are sleeping, and one brother has a dream. In the dream they see what happened. These two got together, zina, have a child, he kills them. Buries them in a separate place. So the brother wakes up, I had a really strange dream at night. And he tells them. Second brother's like, I had the same dream. The third brother said, I had the same dream. Shaitan's the one who told them. It's called Khawatir Shaitani. He told them at night. So Shaitan caused this to happen, then he told them. So then Shaitan, what does he do? The brothers go, they dig up the grave, they see no one's there. They go to where the dream says the grave is, they dig it up, they find the baby and the sister, they go right away to Barsisa. They say, we know what you did. We know exactly what you did. That's it. We're taking you to the king. You're going to be executed. Barsisa's freaking out. Now Shaitan for the first time appears as Shaitan and says, I am Shaitan. I got you into this mess. And I'm the only one to get you out of this mess, and I only ask one thing from you, and I'll take you out of it. Barsisa says, whatever you want, I'll do it. What does Shaitan say? Just bow down to me. Do sajda to me, and I will get you out of this mess. Barsisa does sajda. Shaitan leaves. The king executes Barsisa. The man who spent his life obeying Allah dies bowing to Shaitan. Did Shaitan go to him right away and say, hey, worship me, bow down to me? No, just one thought. But the moment he got him, as you both showed, to just turn his angle slightly, he knew over time there'd be deviation. And that's what happened with Malcom. He didn't just go into the thick of things right away. It was hard for him. Even when he first speaks to quote-unquote Laura, he's like fidgeting and stumbling and stuttering. But eventually, he's this player. How? It just takes one step. So we'll stop over here. You have adhan in like 2 minutes. Stick around for prayer. As is the case, I will drop off the kids and come back for the Dhuhr over here. So I will see you guys shortly. Okay, Anas, stay out. Anas, stay out. Don't come in with your shoes. Stay out. SubhanAllah bihamdi subhanakum. upstairs. Let's go take a listen.